As someone who is admittedly a bit of an Apple fan, switching to Linux was one of those things that I never thought I would do for anything. But after months of using Vim and the terminal as my main way of working, I just found that using Linux is so much easier because of Linux just makes a lot more sense to use of these terminal type applications over macOS or especially Windows. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Yoni, I'm a self-taught web developer, and today I'm going to be talking about why I switched my developer workflow over to Linux over macOS. Okay, so first off, before we get into it, what you see behind me is just C matrix over here and htop over here. So no, I'm not Hackerman or doing any sort of Hackerman things, just want to point out before we start. So, as I'm sure you all know, I use Vim by the way. If you don't know that, now you do. But using Vim on macOS worked completely fine, and Vim isn't the reason I properly switched to Linux. Well, yes, Vim feels probably quite a bit nicer on Linux for some reason, even though it's the exact same Neo Vim. For some bizarre reason that happens, but Vim is not the reason I switched to Linux. Probably the number one reason was customization, better terminal support for lots of package managers and stuff, and obviously window managing, because tiling window managers on macOS are nowhere near as good as they are on Linux. So let's start with the first reason I like Linux a lot now, and that's to do with customization. The main thing with customization on Linux is that you're able to change everything you want, icon themes, desktop environment, all of that fun stuff. And unlike macOS, for example, I'm able to have all my scripts in a bin. I don't have to set aliases of bash. I'm able to have them all in a bin for some bizarre reason that never worked on macOS, and I can't use stow to manage my dot files in macOS. I have to manually set up symlinks. Yeah, I know, so much effort, am I right? But that's the whole thing about Linux. You're able to change everything. If I really wanted to, I could remove every single desktop environment, make my Linux feel just like stock Arch, although I won't, because I don't use Arch, by the way. Although Arch does seem kind of cool. I do want to configure Arch for like 20 hours and get hundreds of errors. That seems fun. Along with customization, my favourite thing about Linux is probably tiling window managers. I've tried for 7-8 months now to get a tiling window manager on macOS, but you just can't get a tiling window manager like you can on Linux or macOS. In Linux, I'm currently using i3 for my tiling window manager. What tiling window manager basically is let's say I were to open up Terminal, when I were to open up Brave, what would happen is they both take up 50% of the screen. I open up another app that takes up 25% each. It just adjusts all your windows for you, never have to use the mouse. But that's okay, I guess. But the real cool feature is you're able to move it all between virtual workspaces and able to have custom keybinds to do everything. The whole thing with this is it just makes my workflow so much easier as I'm always in a terminal and a browser. By the way, do keep an eye out soon. I am planning on making a video going over my entire dev workflow and explaining all my dot files in detail for you fellow nerds. By the way, dot files are in the description if you're interested. And now to the greatest thing about Linux, in my opinion, over macOS or Windows, package managers in your terminal. Now yes, on macOS you can install a package managers, Mac ports and Homebrew, but believe me, I haven't got Homebrew working for 2 years now. The past 2 years it worked for 1 week, and it hasn't worked for 2 years now on any Mac machine I've had or tried it on. That's fun. And Mac ports works occasionally but doesn't have nowhere near as much stuff as Homebrew. And Mac ports also never works on the beta of macOS, which I'm currently running. Oh, and of course, don't forget that to a new user, setting up a package manager on macOS, or especially Windows, can be kind of complicated to do. With Linux, the package manager comes right out of the box, and obviously each distro has different package managers. So Ubuntu is apt-get, whatever it's called, and Arch is Pacman. I don't know about any other distros. With Linux, the package manager comes right out of the box of your distro. With Arch, you get Pacman, and with Ubuntu/Debian, you get apt-get right out of the box. I don't know if it's called apt-get, but it's apt something. Oh, and of course you get Snap, but who uses Snap? I had a Snap app open the other day, Discord or something. 17 virtual gigabytes of RAM used when it was open for 5 seconds, and that's why we don't use Snap, kids. Unlike macOS or Windows, if you want to install VLC Media Player, for example, you have to look it up and you have to go to the right link, press the right download link, and it'll have all that fun stuff. Whereas on my Ubuntu system, I can just do sudo apt-get install VLC, enter in my password, and boom, VLC player is installed that easily compared to what you do on macOS or Windows. All I'm saying is everything's just so much easier to install and use. You don't have to worry about all of that annoying crap where you have to search the internet, go and by mistake install viruses and all of the That's not Linux, bro. That's not a part of Linux. All I'm saying of this is you don't have to Google on the internet to install the package, and you don't have to go through all this crap on all these viruses and everything, so that's not cool. No one wants to install a virus. That's the whole point of Linux. You don't have to worry about all this other crap on the internet, you just use your free and open source software too. So yes, I'm sure you all saw that as another advantage I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video, free and open source software on Linux. This is the whole advantage of Linux. Everything is free, there's no payments, and everything is open source. What open source means is that every single line of code for every single application on Linux, and every single line of code for Linux itself, the kernel and the operating system and all the tools, is available online. You can read the code, you can make updates to the code yourself even, unlike operating systems such as macOS and Windows where all the code is closed source, which means you can't see it. And now at first this may seem like a disadvantage when it comes to privacy, malware and all of that fun stuff, but in reality it's actually not. The reason for this is that because there's hundreds of thousands of people each day who are good people looking through the source code of Linux trying to find vulnerabilities. They find a vulnerability, they'll most likely send a pull request and hopefully it'll be approved and fixed. And for the probably about 4 people that are doing good things, there's probably 1 person trying to do bad things to the code. There's a lot more people trying to look for patches than people trying to find exploits, which is great. And in reality, in my opinion, this actually makes it more secure than macOS or Windows. So this video wasn't a proper dive deep into Linux. I am planning on making a video on that in a few weeks or so on my workflow and all the fun stuff as I mentioned before. But this video was just explaining the very core fundamentals why I prefer Linux to my developer workflow. If you enjoyed this video and want to see what's on this magnificent desk of mine, you can check out my setup tour video from last week, up here or there. I don't know which side that's on YouTube. But other than that, thank you for watching and I'll see you later.